What if I told you that in just one day, you could travel millions of miles into outer space and hundreds of years back in aviation history without ever leaving Washington, D.C.? Come with us because this experience felt so real that for a moment, I forgot I was inside a museum. I'm back, co-folder besties. Today, we're exploring one of the most incredible places I've ever visited, the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, right in the heart of Washington, D.C. The moment we stepped inside, I honestly felt like I had traveled back in time and then suddenly launched into outer space. Every exhibit looked so realistic that it felt like history had come alive before our eyes. The Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum first opened in 1976. During the United States bicentennial celebration. It is part of the Smithsonian Institution, which was made possible through the generous gift of James Smithson, an English scientist whose vision was to increase and spread knowledge for everyone. Today, this museum has become one of the most visited museums in the world, preserving the incredible story of human flight, from the earliest airplanes to the spacecraft that carried astronauts beyond Earth. One thing that amazed me the most was seeing an actual aircraft on display. Some of them even allowed us to walk inside. Imagine standing where pilots and passengers once sat, seeing the cockpit up close, looking at the controls, the seats, and the narrow cabin. It gave us a whole new appreciation for how aviation has evolved through the years. Looking around, I couldn't help but imagine the countless stories these aircraft could tell. As a science teacher, this place was an absolute dream. Everywhere I looked, there was something connected to science. I saw astronomy through the exhibits around planets, stars, galaxies, and space exploration. There was meteorology explaining Earth's atmosphere, weather, and how it affects flight. We also encountered geology while learning about the moon, Mars, meteorites, and planetary surfaces. Even physics came alive as the exhibits demonstrated gravity, motion, lift, thrust, and the forces that make airplanes fly. It was like walking through an interactive science classroom where every exhibit told a fascinating story. Honestly, one day isn't enough to explore everything this museum has to offer. The museum is enormous. Every gallery is filled with artifacts, interactive displays, historic aircraft, rockets, satellites, and space capsules. You could spend hours reading the stories behind every invention and still discover something new around every corner. Of course, Yuri and Denae were having the time of their lives. They kept wandering off because they were so excited to discover every exhibit. Every few minutes, they would say, "Look at this," or run toward another airplane or spacecraft that caught their attention. They were not trying to get away from us. They were simply overwhelmed with excitement and curiosity. Seeing the museum through their eyes reminded me that learning becomes unforgettable when children can experience it firsthand. If you're looking for an educational family adventure, I highly recommend adding the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum to your bucket list. It's not just a museum, it's an experience that inspires curiosity, imagination, and a deeper appreciation for science, technology, engineering, and human achievement. I only wish I had several more days to explore every corner because there was still so much left to see. As a teacher, I kept thinking about how amazing it would be to bring my students here for a field trip where every exhibit becomes a lesson they'll never forget. Thank you so much for joining us on today's adventure, Co-Filter Besties. If you enjoyed traveling through history and outer space with us, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment telling me which exhibits amazed you the most. Share this with your family and friends, and follow so you won't miss our next adventure. Until our next journey, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember that the world is full of amazing places awaiting to inspire you. Bye, Co-Filter Besties. See you in the next video.